Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel. I'm going to give you some more playing samples with this guitar in just a minute, but first I want to tell you a little bit about it because it's got some interesting history to it. First of all, this guitar is maybe 55 to 60 years old, and it is a brand called a Teisco. It took me a little while to figure out what this was because, as you can see, there's no brand name on the headstock, but that was pretty common with these guitars. Now, the brand was founded in Tokyo, Japan, right after the end of World War II in 1946. And to start with, the company just made like microphones and electronic components and recording equipment. But then in the late 40s and early 50s, they started making guitars. And, you know, like a lot of companies back then, they basically just took inspiration from Gibson and Fender, the Fender guitars of the time. So obviously we have a Fender-esque headstock here, and then really kind of a Gibson-inspired body. There's kind of a Bigsby-inspired tailpiece here, and some single coil pickups with a three-way toggle switch, and a single volume and a single tone, and of course it's a semi-hollow body guitar. The thing is though, it wasn't until the 1960s that these guitars started being imported into the United States. And they were really pretty popular because they were very affordable, and you could buy them through the Sears catalog or Montgomery Ward. And this one right here, as far as I can tell, is from the mid to late 60s, maybe 1968, maybe as early as 1965, but it's definitely from that era. And honestly, this guitar is not very easy to play. It has kind of a nice thin neck, but it's also kind of a narrow neck. And in particular, the E strings, the high and the low E strings, are very close to the edge of the fretboard. So it's easy to, pull the string off the edge of the fretboard. The action is pretty high, and I have done a little setup work on this. It was even higher when I got the guitar, and I lowered it a bit, and it's still pretty high. Also, the bridge here, talk about a floating bridge, right? The bridge is not actually connected to the body of the guitar. So watch this. You can actually just grab the bridge and slide it up and down, which is really kind of a problem. If you're pressing hard on it, like when you're strumming, and you accidentally move it, of course it throws the guitar out of tune. But despite all of that, the guitar is actually still very fun to play, and it has an instantly classic sound to it. You can close your eyes and just listen to the guitar, and without ever even looking at the guitar, you can tell that it's an old guitar. Now, another thing about this guitar, and this is really common of, older vintage guitars, is it has really, really small frets, and I think the fret wire material is fairly soft also, because I can see, the frets have that kind of flat top to them from being worn down. There's even some kind of uneven grooves in the frets. So if you were really going to transform this into a great playing guitar, I think it might just need new frets in general, and then obviously the bridge situation has to be straightened out somehow. Now, I got this guitar from a buddy of mine, this guy named Fred, and Fred he's more than twice my age, right? And he was talking about this guitar, or just playing guitar in general, and he was saying that, he doesn't really like to play anymore because it's uncomfortable on his hands. But if he was basing that off of this guitar is very difficult to play. So I kind of want to give him a modern electric guitar and see if that one is a lot easier to play. I think it might be. Because if someone is going to be playing guitar and maybe they're a beginner and they haven't built up their calluses, or maybe you have stiff joints and you've kind of lost some flexibility in your hands, this is not going to be a good guitar to play. Now, my big question to you guys is, does anybody out there have one of these Teisco guitars? It doesn't have to be this exact one, but anything by that company. Maybe you had one in the past, or maybe you even still have one today. And if so, what do you think about it, and what memories do you have of that guitar? All right, guys, this was just a fun little trip back in guitar history. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of this guitar and everything else I was talking about down in the comments section below. And guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you very soon.